Hey everybody, Brandon Vigliarolo here with another episode of The Register Kettle, our weekly podcast exploring all the hottest topics in the world of tech. This week I'm joined by Reg cybersecurity editor Jessica Lyons to chat about the imminent RSA conference happening this coming week in San Francisco. Jess, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, good to be here. Taking a break from for RSA.
Yeah, right. Probably in between writing embargoes and trying to pack to get on the flight soon. I imagine you're pretty busy. But speaking of busy, right? RSA, I feel like it's kind of been in the news, not even just because of the importance that it is in the cybersecurity space, but also just because of the political drama surrounding it early on this year.
Right.
So with the federal government, right, specifically, like they're not participating. All their agencies have backed out. I mean, let's start there. What's this whole dust up about?
So it was interesting. In January, the former CISA director, Jen Easterly, was named chief executive of RSAC. And a week later, a CISA spokesperson told me that CISA would not attend the annual conference. They traditionally have participated in keynotes. When Jen Easterly was the head of CISA, she did keynotes. Chris Krebs did keynotes. They've had press roundtables before. They participated in panels. So a week after Easterly is named head of RSAC, CISA completely pulls everybody from the lineup. And then soon after, the FBI and NSA sessions and speakers also disappeared from the conference agenda. So there was supposed to be this session on the hunt for China's typhoons, and it was billed as a behind-the-scenes look at how the federal agencies are working with private industry to disrupt this huge espionage campaign and all of the typhoons basically from China. So that's still happening, but the feds aren't going to be a part of it. It's just
that is happening. Okay, I thought
it
that
is
been canceled entirely.
So it's still happening, but I mean that they're the
one half of the story is just not going to be there, right?
Right, exactly. And then there was supposed to be this FBI cyber warfare talk. There was a panel with several agents on how to engage with the FBI and develop an incident response plan. Those were pulled. The NSA, they used to always do this State of the Hack talk, and it was super popular. This was always one of my favorites. And it would be, it was people were waiting in line to get in after the room itself had filled up. Because it was such a popular talk. So that one they canceled last year. So they've kind of started.
What did they talk about at that talk? Was it just like a state of what's going on in the
what's right, what they're seeing from the government hacker position, what they're seeing, how cyber criminals and nation states are hacking, what are the big trends that they've seen. So that's always super interesting talk. And
important too, right?
Really
like I feel like one of the things about RSA, at least traditionally in previous years to date, right? I mean, the government has really been, the past couple of presidential administrations, I feel like Trump 1 and Trump 1 and Biden both were really kind of trying to like pound home this message of like, we need the private sector and the government to engage in this together, right? Like this is not something that we can do separately. This is a joint effort, right? Like these nation state actors, these typhoons, whoever, they're attacking private industry, but they're also attacking governments, and they're using private industry to get at the government, et cetera. Like, I feel like the RSA has been a great opportunity for both the private and public sector to collaborate on this. And I mean,
right,
we're pretty much losing that entirely, I feel like, in this.
Exactly.
In this
and that was I think that was a really important piece that we're missing if we don't have the federal government participating in RSA, is that you don't have this sense of collaboration. That was a key point that especially Jen Easterly would drive home the importance of this collaboration. 2 years ago, it was 2024, CISA wrangled at the time 70 tech providers just in a period of days into signing the Secure by Design pledge to secure their software before it shipped. And that was a pretty amazing feat. Hundreds more signed on after the fact, but there was much more.
Was that a binding pledge?
It wasn't a binding pledge. No. Okay. So it still was voluntary. So it's not.
Still, optically, it looks good, right? For them to be coming on with the government and saying, yeah, we'll pledge to this.
Definitely. Yep. And just getting that and just opening those communication channels. That's a big deal.
So why do you think this is? Obviously Easterly's appointment is a big problem, right? I think Trump wrangled with her a bit and she got fired early on. But Do you
Well, she
think, because
didn't.
I think they gave a budgetary excuse to you, I think, right? It was like, we don't have the money to do this year, or we're trying to cut down on expenses. But that seems like kind of a cop-out when you've got the political tension and also the fact that, I don't know, CISA at least has lost so many people. I wonder if they've even got enough staff to send to this kind of thing.
I mean, yeah, the excuse I asked specifically if it had anything to do with Jen Easterly's appointment. The
Hmm.
spokesperson told me they declined to comment on that piece and basically said that they wouldn't participate because it wasn't the best use of taxpayer dollars. So, um, I mean, I
Which
think that's
again, I kind of
debatable.
question based on previous,
Right.
previous kind of lines of reasoning. If we need this collaboration, that's a pretty darn good
Right.
use of taxpayer dollars, if you ask me. But
I would, yeah, personally, I would agree too
yeah.
on that.
So I mean, yeah. So
So,
no, I know in January you mentioned CISA, FBA, CISA, the FBI, NSA were all out.
mhm.
Have you had any updates from them since January? Anything new from the agencies about the whole thing at all, or no?
No, one thing I was curious to see last year, there was this really last minute keynote of Christy Nome, and that was
Hmm.
announced, I think, just in the days leading up to RSAC, that she would be doing a keynote. And then, of course, she's not going to be making any appearances at RSA this year since she's no longer head of DHS. But during that keynote, she again said CISA had gone off the rails and she vowed to put the agency back on mission. So again, it was, this definitely touting the administration's line about putting CISA back on mission. We've heard that ever since Trump was elected, and the people that he's put in different appointments have hammered this home quite a bit. So I was curious if there would be any kind of last minute federal speakers, but that, at least as of now, does not seem to be the case. I think it is going to be very industry focused. I I don't think we're going to hear much from the federal government. There are several former FBI and NSA people who are going to be on panels and at the
Yeah, I was
conference.
just going to
So
ask you if you knew if any individuals from the organizations were coming, but it looks like no current people, or it's all.
I don't believe any current people. One of the people that I am really looking forward to interviewing actually is the former FBI cyber deputy director, Cynthia Kaiser, and I interviewed her last year when she was with the FBI. Now she's a senior VP for Halcyon's Ransomware Research Center. So I'm going to be talking with her. I think that'll
Could
be
be fun.
interesting. Yeah, to
Maybe you can
hear.
get some. Maybe you can kind of weasel her into commenting a bit on the state of things, right?
Right, definitely. And then the
Well,
former NSA cyber chief, Rob Joyce, who he was usually involved in the State of the Hack Talk. So he is going to be doing a talk also on Monday about when AI turns attacker. So I'm really looking forward to hearing that panel as well.
yeah, and speaking of AI, I was going to say let's move on from what's not going to be at RSA this year to what's actually going to be at RSA this year. And I think probably one of the, I mean, I don't know, it feels kind of inevitable to say that agentic AI is going to be the hot topic of the year when it comes to cybersecurity, but it sure feels like it so far this year. I mean, from the signs you've been getting so far, is agentic AI going to be the big thing?
Oh,
Like,
completely, completely. And it's funny because last year I predicted that agentic AI would win RSAC buzzword bingo because,
mhm.
like all the others, security loves their acronyms, and so there's always whatever the new buzzy acronym is going to be, and then you'll see cocktails at some of the parties like the Great Casby, things like that, depending on what the acronym du jour is. But I think definitely we're going to see agentic AI everywhere. I did a quick little search, and 73 different sessions are either on AI agents or agentic AI.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Oh
I'm not
yeah,
sure how many sessions total are at the at the event, but that's got to be a significant portion.
right. That's definitely a significant portion. I think, yeah, the product announcements that have already kind of been coming into my inbox and really that I've seen throughout the year, it's everything from using agents for security, how to secure agentic AI, threat research on all the myriad security problems that
Yeah.
agents are introducing
I
into
was gonna
people's
say,
environments.
I'm sure you've had plenty of people reaching out to you saying, "Hey, these things are a security nightmare, and I can
Mm,
demonstrate
yes.
how, in 3 easy steps," right? Or in plain English or whatever utter disaster, these things are introducing into secure environments. Or, I mean, I don't know if they're in secure environments. God, I hope they're not. Um, I just feel like, even OpenClaw alone, right? Like, the amount of security stories that have been written about that this year just kind of indicates that, like, these things are, I don't know. I feel like, I know we take a pretty skeptical approach to AI at the Reg, and I think reasonably so. But I feel like agentic AI is there's at least some kind of like, I don't know, like, it seems like it's going somewhere, right? Whether this is kind of what AI becomes, this sort of like background. I've always imagined kind of like, the Starship Enterprise computer, right? It's this thing that exists and you consult it and you get the fully formed answer back that you need, right? It's not biased. It's not, not woke or not woke. It just gives you the information you need and you can trust it. And I feel like, it has agentic qualities to it too. So, I think, oh, agentic AI sounds pretty cool, right? But then I hear about
Mhm.
things like OpenClaw and just the sheer volume of security failures. And it makes me wonder if we're basically just entering into a race where we're never going to be able to keep up with what these things are going to be able to exploit. And I kind of wonder what has been the kind of take from what you've been hearing, right? Like, what is the security industry's current like posture on agentic AI? Are they excited to use it? Are they scared of its possibilities? Are they worried it's going to just kind of like open a whole new Pandora's box that we're not going to know how to deal with?
Well, I think it's all of the above. I think there is a level of excitement, and there's also the sense that you have to use it to keep up
Hmm.
with the attackers, to keep up with your peers. It's not really an option. And it also introduces a lot of risk into the environment. Part of that, it's a two sides of a coin. I mean, that's the value proposition of agentic AI is that it's non-deterministic,
Hmm.
but from a security perspective, that it introduces this complete wild card into your environment. And so you want to have boundaries around that, but if they're too strict, if you implement too many boundaries in code, then you lose the whole value of AI agents. So it's a really interesting push and pull. Um, I don't think anybody has a really good solution yet to making
That
sure
was
that
that was
these
gonna be my next
agents.
question, right? Has anyone figured this out yet? Right? And I was like,
No, but I mean,
yeah.
that's going to be really interesting because I am sure I'm going to see a ton of startups on the show floor that are talking about how they're securing agentic AI. So I think that's going to be just all over the place,
Well,
on
yeah.
the show
Yeah, I
floor.
imagine this is gonna be a hot topic is, agentic AI security specifically. I
Right.
mean, it kinda makes me
Right.
wonder, like, is it gonna be the sort of thing where we have, agentic AI that sort of watch agentic AI to sort of be like,
Exactly. No,
like,
that's
what do you do? Because I
100%.
mean, when I think about agentic AI, right, I think about, I'm not a security expert by any means. I've taken some penetration testing training courses and stuff. So, like, I know how to, scan something for
Mhm.
weaknesses and enumerate those weaknesses and stuff. And that's a slow process, right? That's a slow, laborious process. But an AI can do that. A
Right.
relatively simple AI can do that instantaneously. And I just feel like it's like something that simple and that basic can be done that quickly. You know, uh, I don't know. It's just like it's going to be a constant race. Like, you have to have
Right.
something just as fast as the thing you have potentially doing the bad stuff, stopping it. I don't know.
Exactly.
It
Yeah.
makes me feel like we're going to become powerless as AI just kind of like fight to keep us safe and destroy us.
Right, and that's the thing because, I mean, that like you said, that's a great use case because an AI agent can do some of these tasks that are really laborious, they are really time consuming. They can do them a lot faster than humans. These are things that aren't all that fun for humans to do too, so they can free up, human security analysts for the more interesting, and important tasks. So I think that's a great use case. And then at the same time, we do see the threats and how easy it is to trick these agents into doing things that they're not supposed to. And that's going to be another hot topic. That's one of the talks I'm really looking forward to. Also on Monday is Zenity CTO Michael Bargery, his talk about these zero-click exploits in all of the major AI agents.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's a problem that everybody is still dealing with.
Yeah, right. I mean, I feel like it's not. I mean, at least I'm not, again, right. I'm not an expert, and I'm not. Uh, I can't. I wouldn't say that I have a level of knowledge on AI engineering to understand how the problem's going to progress. But I just feel like I don't see an end to it. Right?
Right.
It's going to be this constant battle of can you stop the AI from exploiting the thing fast enough?
With your own AI, it's like
Yeah. Yep.
robots versus robots a lot of the time.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. It'll be interesting. Let's just hope we have nice, strong bunkers. Um,
right.
So beyond AI, though, I mean, that's probably going to be a hot
Uh-huh.
topic. Like you said, last year, agentic AI was a big thing. It's going to be a big one again. It's probably going to be next year, unless
Right.
something else comes along to blow it up. But I mean, you've probably been getting a lot of, like you mentioned, tons of product announcements, tons of advanced, invitations to news, whatever. That is a chance to kind of put a finger on the pulse of an industry, right? RSAC is kind of like, I mean, it's the security industry conference, right, in the United States. And I mean, so if you look at what's coming in and the kind of things that people are pitching to you, I feel like it's kind of a good way to view where we're going to go this year in cybersecurity, what kind of things are trending, what people are worried about. I mean, outside of AI, what else have you been hearing? What's going to be on people's lips? What's on the agenda? What's a hot topic right now?
Right. Well, I think that the North Korean IT worker scam, I think that is going to still play a big role. That was a huge topic of conversation last year. I think
Hmm.
that's still a problem. I think on the plus side, we have a lot more people, especially the C-suite level, saying, "Hey, that's happening to us too. We had applicants who turned out to be scammers." So people are
Well,
talking
as the
about it
AI
more.
keeps getting better, right? It becomes
Exactly.
better, easier and easier to sneak your North Korean into your IT team.
Right. Now we're seeing more deepfake videos being used in job interviews, which is, some of the people I've spoken to, one was actually an AI security startup, and he had somebody using a deepfake video on a job interview. So it just
Like it
seems
was a real time thing,
yeah, like it
or
was real time. Right. Yes.
because
So
I know, or like a couple years ago at least, I remember talking to some startups and some other people that said that there were some pretty surefire ways that you could trick those deepfake videos into slipping up or whatever. They've progressed to the
they're
point where they're now
getting
better than that.
They're getting better, like, the hand in front of the
Mm.
face doesn't work anymore, that's not a reliable way to determine
Turning
if
to the
you're talking
side, I think,
to
was
a
the other big
deepfake or
one
not.
too, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So, it's so deepfakes are getting better, the technology, the software is getting a lot better that people are using to try to trick people in to hiring them and then sending money and potentially sensitive IP back to North Korea. So, that seems to be top of mind for everybody. I think the war is going to be something else that we hear more about. Obviously, when everybody pitches their panels and their talks, this wasn't in anybody's mindset that we would be involved in a war. So that's not going to be the topic of any panels, but that is something we continue to see a lot of threat research coming out in terms of the role cyber is playing. And I expect that to be a hot topic of
Yeah,
conversation
we
as
spoke
well.
at the kind of an update to a previous Kettle episode. We talked about that a couple
Mhm.
weeks ago now. I mean, has there been any more sort of big cyber news in the Iran war front? Or is it pretty consistent with what we were seeing early on with just, back and forth attacks and infrastructure, trying to hit infrastructure to weaken targets and what have you?
Well, a big one, I don't remember if this had happened before our when we spoke about this last on Kettle, but we did see a attack on a med tech firm in the US called Stryker, and
Yeah,
this
yeah, now
group
I'm
yeah,
remembering that. I don't know if it happened before or not. Yeah.
it's associated they're believed to be a cyber arm of the Iranian intelligence agency called Handala Hack, and they wiped, a bunch of employees' devices. They shut down some of the global networks that delayed shipping and ordering and reportedly even some surgeries that were scheduled. So that was really the first cyber attack that's hit a U.S. company that we've seen that's had a operational disruption. So
Are they? Is that company involved at all in government contracting, or do they just choose a sensitive target like a medical
You
institution
know,
or medical
I
provider to hit?
I don't even think it was intentionally choosing a sensitive. It definitely is a sensitive and a really high value target for them to hit. But from everyone I've spoken to, it just seems to be a lot more opportunistic is what
Mm,
they're going after. But then yesterday, the FBI and an interesting thing too, this hacktivist group, it's kind of a hacktivist persona, even though they are affiliated with the Iranian government. So they've had this major presence on X. They had a website where they're leaking screenshots of organizations that they've claimed to have attacked, and really out in the open, which was kind of surprising to me to see that. And then yesterday, the FBI and others shut down their websites. Their X account is now blocked. So we've seen some action there. I'm kind of curious to see what we see both from private third parties, and also if we hear anything coming from the federal government about steps that it has taken toward either disrupting some of the cyber operations that we're seeing from Iran, just more reporting from the third parties as next week progresses about what they're seeing in terms of the threats, and or if it'll be primarily more of the same, more DDoS. A lot of the focus so far has been on Israeli companies and Gulf states. I think it'll be interesting to see what happens in the weeks ahead there.
yeah. So Iran, North Korean job
Mhm.
scammers,
Mhm.
AI, obviously.
AI.
What else? Anything
Mhm.
else you're hearing are going to be popular topics, or are those kind of the dominant ones? That
I think
and government drama.
right, the government, yeah, government drama for sure. I think that voice phishing, especially what like we've seen with shiny hunters and scattered spider groups, kind of these younger English speaking US and UK, really loose knit groups of cyber criminals who have been able to break into a ton of organizations by calling the help desk and pretending to be an employee who just got a new cell phone and they need a new code. So they're able to convince a help desk to send a new MFA, giving them access to various accounts and the like. I think that's going to be a big topic too, because that's been such an ongoing problem. It's something that everybody is really aware of at this point, and yet they continue to have a lot of success. And I think it also illustrates something that people in security have been talking about for a long time, and that's that it's humans often are the weakest link. It's not the technology products that fail, it's the humans involved. So how do you there's anti-phishing training that you can do, but that's a really big topic too. I think we'll hear a lot about how can we um, how can we not make it so that humans are still kind of the stumbling block here.
Yeah, and in an era when it's getting harder and harder to tell truth from fiction, right? I think
Mhm.
that's an additional problem, right? Like we're not just seeing an increase in voice phishing or what have you, right?
Mhm.
I always like to think of it as right, like a lot of cybersecurity is not people in dark rooms on keyboards. It's
Mhm.
confidence tricksters on the phone,
Mhm.
right? It's the same cons people have been pulling for hundreds and hundreds of
Right.
thousands of years, right? It's just now we have technology to add to that, and you can increase the scale and effectiveness of your con by
Right.
100-fold. But it's like it's the same thing, right? Nothing's changed, and humans are
Mhm.
still being exploited,
Mhm.
and now it's just worse with AI being a
Right.
problem. So yeah, the human factor will be an interesting one to watch in the next few years as this continues to evolve. But so
Definitely.
you're going this year, I understand.
Yes.
And is there anything? I mean, we've already covered some of the talks you're excited to hear. Were you? I believe are you interviewing Jen Easterly too? Is that
I
right?
am. I'm interviewing
That's
her, so
pretty
I'm
exciting.
I'm really looking forward to that. That's top of my list for interviews that I'm looking forward to this week.
Yeah, for sure. Is there any advice you have for attendees that are going? I know this can be a pretty busy, hectic thing that takes over
Yes.
the whole of San Francisco. So, any advice
Right.
to first-time attendees?
Definitely wear good walking shoes because there is a lot of walking. It's not limited to Moscone Center, which is actually 3 different buildings, plus now the theater where some of the other keynotes are. It's really all of the hotels in the area, all of the restaurants, all of the bars. There's meetings scheduled all over San Francisco, so you're going to be doing a lot of walking. So wear wear comfortable
Yeah.
footwear. That's
That is
number
one of the
1.
nice things. One of the only good things about going to Vegas for a conference, right, is that it all
Right,
happens inside basically one facility that's big enough to house it all. So,
right.
yeah. Well, good
But
luck
at the
next week in.
Yeah. Well, on the flip side, though, it is nice to be able to walk outside, and it's supposed to be gorgeous
That's
weather in San
true.
Francisco, so it's kind of nice to get that fresh air too, which is a plus.
Yeah. Totally, totally. All right. Hey, well, good luck in San Francisco this week. And thank you, everyone, for listening. We'll be back next week to talk about the next big thing in tech.